Zainab was driving home from her office when the sun was going down. The road was very busy with cars and people. She sat in her car, thinking about her day. She had a big meeting at work today and it went very well. Her company won a new contract with an important client. Zainab felt so happy and proud. She kept smiling as she drove, thinking about how she would tell Kofi the good news over dinner. Maybe they would go to their favorite restaurant to celebrate. Maybe they would drink wine and laugh together like they used to do. Zainab loved her job very much. She had worked very hard to build her marketing business from nothing. She studied late at night. She made smart choices about money. She treated her clients like family. Every time her business grew, she felt like she was doing something important and real. She was not just a wife in a house. She was a woman with her own dreams and her own money and her own life. When Zainab finally arrived at her apartment building, she noticed something odd. The lights in the living room were very bright. She could see them from the street outside. This was strange because Kofi usually kept the lights low in the evenings. He said bright lights made him tired. She thought maybe he was waiting for her with something special planned. She parked her car in the garage and walked to the door. She was still smiling from her good day at work. She opened the door and stepped inside. The air felt different immediately. It felt heavy and cold, like something bad was about to happen. The first thing she saw was her husband, Kofi, sitting alone on the long sofa. He looked very strange. His face was tight and worried. His shoulders were bent forward like he was carrying something heavy on his back. He was not smiling. He would not even look at her when she walked in. He just stared at his hands like they were the most interesting thing in the world. On the other side of the sofa, she saw Mama Akojua, Kofi's mother. She was wearing her best traditional wrapper, the one with golden thread woven through it. She wore a golden blouse with short sleeves. Gold jewelry hung from her wrists and around her neck. Her gray hair was arranged in a perfect style. She looked like a queen sitting on a throne. She looked ready for battle. Zainab felt the happy feeling from her day start to disappear. She could feel something bad in the air. She could feel danger coming, like when the weather changes before a big storm. "Hello," Zainab said slowly. "Why do you both look so serious? What is happening?" Mama Akojua did not answer her question. She just stared at Zainab with cold, empty eyes. Then she reached down beside her and picked up a thick white envelope. The envelope looked expensive and important. It was made of cream-colored paper with a gold seal on the front. Zainab's heart started to beat very fast. Something was very wrong. She could feel it in her bones. Mama Akojua held the envelope in her hand for a long time without giving it to Zainab. She just held it there, letting the silence grow bigger and bigger. She did this on purpose. Mama Akojua liked to control people and situations. She liked to make people wait and feel scared and confused. "Sit down, Zainab," Mama Akojua said finally. Her voice was cold and hard, like a stone hitting the ground. "I prefer to stand," Zainab said. She did not want to sit. She wanted to stay strong. "What is in that envelope?" Mama Akojua opened the envelope very slowly. She took out several papers that were folded very carefully. She unfolded them one by one. Even from far away, Zainab could read the words at the top of the first page. The words said divorce papers. The room seemed to move around Zainab. She felt like she might fall down. She put her hand on the back of a chair to hold herself up. This was not real. This could not be real. "What is this?" Zainab asked. Her voice was shaking. She was trying to be brave, but her voice would not listen. "Kofi, what is this? What is happening?" Kofi finally looked at her for just one moment. But his eyes were empty. He looked like a man who was dead inside, like a man with no power and no courage. Then he looked away again. He did not say one word to her. Mama Akojua continued talking. "These are divorce papers. Your marriage is finished. It is done. It is complete. There is nothing more to talk about." "But I do not understand," Zainab said. She was trying to think clearly, but her mind was confused. "Kofi and I have never discussed divorce. We have never had a big fight. We have never talked about ending our marriage. Why are you doing this?" "You do not need to understand," Mama Akojua said with a mean smile. "I understand. And my understanding is all that matters in this family. I make the decisions here. Not you. Never you. You have no power here." Zainab looked at Kofi again. She was waiting for him to say something. She wanted him to protect her. She wanted him to say that his mother was wrong or crazy. She wanted him to say this was all a mistake. But he said nothing. He just stared at his hands like there was something very important written on them. Mama Akojua walked over to the dining table and put the divorce papers down. She pushed them across the table towards Zainab. "You will sign these papers tonight," Mama Akojua said. Her voice was like ice. You will pack your things. You will leave this apartment tomorrow morning. You will leave this marriage. And you will leave with nothing. Not one thing. You will take no money. You will take no jewelry. You will take no car. Nothing. You came to this family with nothing and you will leave with nothing. This is my final word. But why? Zainab asked. Her voice was quiet now. She felt tears starting in her eyes, but she would not let them fall. She would not cry in front of this woman. We have been married for 7 years, Mama Akojua. I have never been a bad wife to your son. I take care of this home. I cook good food. I keep everything clean. When you were sick 2 years ago, I sat with you every single day. I gave you medicine. I held your hand. Why are you doing this to me? Mama Akojua's face became very hard and ugly. Because you are unsuitable for this family. Your career is the problem. Your independence is the problem. Your foolish ideas about being equal to a man, this is an insult to our family name and our honor. A proper wife stays home. A proper wife obeys her husband. A proper wife listens to her mother-in-law. You do none of these things. But Kofi never asked me to stop working, Zainab said. He never said my job was a problem. That is because Kofi is weak, Mama Akojua said without any feeling in her voice. He has no backbone. He cannot control you. So I must control the situation myself. I will not have a woman like you bringing shame to my family. Zainab felt anger start to grow inside her chest. It was small at first like a tiny flame. But it was real. She was angry but she was also smart. She knew that she could not fight Mama Akojua with words. She could not make Kofi grow a backbone. She could not make them understand her or respect her. She looked at the divorce papers on the table. She looked at Kofi sitting on the sofa. She looked at Mama Akojua standing there with her gold jewelry and her mean smile. And then Zainab did something that surprised them both. She smiled. I will not sign these papers, Zainab said calmly and clearly. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever. You can keep your papers. You can keep your threats. But you cannot keep me. Mama Akojua stood up very fast. Then you will be humiliated publicly. I will tell everyone that you are a bad wife. I will make sure no one respects you. Maybe, Zainab said. But first let me tell my story. Let me tell the truth. And in that moment, Zainab began to plan. She was going to fight back. But not with anger. She was going to fight with truth. She was going to fight with proof. She was going to fight with her own strength. Zainab did not sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling in the dark. Her mind was moving very fast, thinking about what happened, thinking about what she should do next. She could hear Kofi sleeping in the guest room. He had moved out of their bedroom after his mother left. He could not even look at Zainab anymore. Around 3 in the morning, Zainab got out of bed. She went to her home office and turned on the computer. The light from the screen hurt her eyes at first, but she did not care. She opened her filing system and started to organize all her documents. She had been collecting these papers for 7 years, but she never thought she would need them like this. Zainab found her marketing plans. She found the strategy she had created for Kofi's family real estate business. She found spreadsheets showing how the business was making very little money before she joined. Then she found the same spreadsheets after she started working with them. The numbers were shocking. The company had made 3 times more money after Zainab started managing their marketing and finances. 3 times. She had tripled their business. She printed out everything. She organized the papers into folders. Some folders had her signatures on contracts. Some had emails where she was making important business decisions. Some had bank statements showing money she had managed. By the time the sun came up, she had filled 6 large folders with proof of her work. At 7 in the morning, Zainab called her friend Amma. Amma was a documentary filmmaker who had known Zainab since university. Amma answered the phone very fast like she was already awake. Zainab, what is wrong? Amma asked. She could hear something in Zainab's voice. She could hear that something bad had happened. Zainab told her everything. She told her about the divorce papers. She told her about Mama Akojua. She told her about how they wanted to throw her out with nothing. She told her about her plan to fight back. I need help, Zainab said. I need people I can trust. I need people who understand what is happening to me. Amma did not hesitate. I will help you. And I know someone else who will help. Fatima. She is my cousin and she is a business consultant. She knows about company law and business rights. I will call her now. By noon that day, Zainab, Amma, and Fatima were sitting in a small coffee shop in Lagos. Fatima was a woman in her early 40s who wore her hair natural and dressed in modern, simple clothes. She was very smart and very kind. She listened to Zainab's story carefully, asking questions and taking notes. "This is bigger than just a marriage problem," Fatima said. "This is about business ownership and intellectual property. You created strategies that made money for their company. That is your work. That is your contribution. You have legal rights here." "But I don't know who to talk to," Zainab said. "I don't know how to start this fight." "You need a lawyer," Fatima said. "A good one. Someone who understands business and family law. I know someone. Her name is Barrister Adeniyi. She has helped many women in situations like yours." Barrister Adeniyi's office was on the 4th floor of a building in Victoria Island. When Zainab first walked into the office, she felt nervous. The office was very professional and quiet. The walls were covered with pictures of Barrister Adeniyi receiving awards and certificates. She had helped a lot of people. Barrister Adeniyi was a woman in her early 50s. She had short gray hair and wore glasses. She shook Zainab's hand firmly and invited her to sit down. "Tell me everything," Barrister Adeniyi said. "Don't leave anything out." Zainab spent 2 hours telling her story. She explained her marriage to Kofi. She explained how she had helped build the family business. She explained the divorce papers and Mama Akojua's threat. She explained that she wanted to fight for her rights. When Zainab finished talking, she took out her 6 folders of documents. She placed them on the lawyer's desk slowly, one by one. Barrister Adeniyi opened the first folder and started to read. Her eyes moved across the pages very carefully. She read the contracts. She read the emails. She read the financial statements. Every few minutes she would stop and look at Zainab over the top of her glasses. "This is excellent," Barrister Adeniyi said finally. "This is very good evidence. You have documented everything. This shows your contributions very clearly. This shows that you helped make their business successful. Does this mean I have legal rights?" Zainab asked. "Yes," Barrister Adeniyi said. "Under Nigerian law, when a couple is married, anything they build together belongs to both of them. This includes business, money, and property. You helped build their real estate business. You have legal rights to a portion of it. These documents prove that." Zainab felt something change inside her. She felt stronger. She felt like maybe this was not hopeless. "What do I do next?" Zainab asked. "We will file for divorce," Barrister Adeniyi said. "But we will also file a claim for your share of the business assets. We will ask for money that is fair for your 7 years of work. We will ask for recognition of your contributions. And we will do this quietly and legally. We will not make a big show, but we will be ready." While Zainab was working with Barrister Adeniyi, something else was happening. Mama Akojua was planning her big celebration. She sent out invitations for her 60th birthday party at the Ikoyi Grand Hotel. The invitations were made of expensive gold paper. They were sent to important people in Lagos. Politicians were invited. Business people were invited. Society women were invited. Everyone who was anyone would be at this party. Mama Akojua was very excited about this party. She saw it as her moment to show off. She wanted to show everyone how important her family was, how successful they were, how much money they had. She wanted to show that she was the queen of Lagos society. But Zainab was planning something different. 1 week before the party, Zainab called a journalist named Chipo. Chipo was someone Zainab had helped years ago with a marketing campaign for a documentary. Chipo had never forgotten Zainab's kindness and her smart ideas. Now Chipo was a famous journalist who worked for a big news network. "Chipo, I need to talk to you about something," Zainab said over the phone. They met at a restaurant near Chipo's office. Chipo was a woman about Zainab's age, with bright eyes and a quick mind. She was always looking for stories about real people and real problems. "I have a story for you," Zainab said. "But I want to tell you the whole thing first. I want you to understand before you make any decisions." Zainab told Chipo everything. She told her about Mama Akojua and the divorce papers. She told her about her work and her contributions to the business. She told her about how women like her are treated in Nigeria. She told her about her plan. Chipo listened without interrupting. When Zainab finished, Chipo had tears in her eyes. "This is the story that needs to be told," Chipo said. "Not just your story, but the story of all women like you. Women who work hard and build things, but then are treated like they are worth nothing." "I have all the documents," Zainab said. She handed Chipo copies of her folders. "Everything is here. Everything is true. When do you want to do this?" Chipo asked. "At Mama Akojua's birthday party," Zainab said. "That is when everyone important will be watching. That is when the truth should come out. During these 2 weeks before the party, Zainab continued to go to family events. She attended dinners. She attended family gatherings. She acted like nothing was wrong. She smiled. She was polite. She was graceful. She showed no anger. She showed no sadness. Everyone who saw her thought she was a normal wife, not a woman who had been given divorce papers. But inside, Zainab was strong. She was ready. She had her lawyer. She had her evidence. She had her friends supporting her. She had the journalist ready to tell her story. She had a plan. Mama Akojua kept preparing for her big party, with no idea that everything was about to change. She had no idea that her moment of glory would become the moment when the truth came out. She had no idea that her celebration would become her reckoning. And Zainab waited. She was like a quiet storm building on the horizon. She was gathering strength. She was preparing. And she was not going to let anyone stop her from telling the truth about who she really was and what she had really done. The Ikoyi Grand Hotel was the most beautiful place in all of Lagos. The ballroom on the top floor had tall windows that showed the whole city below. On this night, the ballroom was transformed into a palace of gold and light. Gold decorations hung from the ceiling like rain. Ivory-colored fabrics covered the walls. Crystal chandeliers sparkled so bright they hurt the eyes. White flowers sat in tall vases on every table. The flowers smelled like heaven. There were hundreds of people in the ballroom. Men wore expensive suits in black and navy. Women wore beautiful traditional wrappers and modern dresses that cost more money than most people made in a year. Everyone who was important in Lagos was here. Senators were here. Business owners were here. Doctors and lawyers were here. Society women with gold jewelry were here. The air was filled with the sound of talking and laughing and the soft music of the live band playing in the corner. At the center of the ballroom, sitting on a special chair that looked like a throne, was Mama Akojua. She wore a traditional Kent cloth in gold and red and green. The cloth was wrapped around her body perfectly. She wore so much gold jewelry that she almost glowed. Gold rings were on every finger. Gold bracelets covered both her wrists. A gold necklace hung down to her chest. Her gray hair was arranged in a complicated style with gold thread woven through it. She looked like a queen or a goddess. She looked like the most important person in the world. Mama Akojua was smiling. She was accepting congratulations from everyone who came to see her. Rich men came and shook her hand and told her how beautiful she looked. Important women came and kissed her cheek and told her how young she looked for 60. Politicians came and took pictures with her. She accepted gifts of expensive champagne and imported jewelry and artwork. She nodded and smiled and accepted their compliments like she was receiving gifts from subjects bowing to a queen. Kofi stood near his mother, but he looked uncomfortable. He wore an expensive suit, but it did not make him look powerful. He still looked weak and tired. He kept checking his phone like he was waiting for something bad to happen. He did not know that something very bad was about to happen. At exactly 8 o'clock in the evening, Zainab arrived at the ballroom. She stood in the doorway for just a moment and the crowd seemed to pause. Everyone turned to look at her. She was wearing a traditional Yoruba outfit that was absolutely stunning. The wrapper was indigo blue with gold embroidery that showed patterns of flowers and birds. The top was the same indigo blue, fitted to show her shape. She wore a geli on her head, which is a traditional head wrap, also in indigo and gold. Around her neck, she wore gold jewelry that was simple but clearly expensive. Her makeup was perfect. Her skin glowed. Her eyes were bright and strong. She looked beautiful. But more than that, she looked powerful. She looked like a woman who knew who she was and was not afraid. Zainab walked into the ballroom slowly, moving through the crowd with her head held high. People whispered as she passed. They knew who she was. They knew about the problems with her marriage. But they did not know what was about to happen. Several people came to greet her. Rich businessmen wanted to shake her hand. Women wanted to hug her. She was kind to everyone. She thanked people for coming to the party. She congratulated Mama Akojua on her birthday. She was graceful and polite. She showed no sign of anger or sadness or fear. But inside, Zainab was focused. She was like a warrior preparing for battle. She knew exactly what she had to do. She made her way to the bar at the side of the ballroom. The bar was decorated with white flowers and bottles of expensive wine and champagne. Behind the bar, a man in white was mixing drinks for the guests. Zainab ordered a glass of wine. As she was waiting for her drink, she felt a hand touch her arm gently. "Zainab," a familiar voice said. "I was wondering when you would arrive." It was Chipo. She was dressed in a beautiful tailored suit in black, with a white shirt and a gold tie. She looked professional and powerful. She looked like a journalist who was ready to tell an important story. Zainab and Chipo hugged like old friends. They had planned this moment carefully. "Come with me," Zainab said quietly. "We can talk in the private lounge." They walked away from the main ballroom, moving through the hotel hallway. They found a small private room near the bar that was quiet and empty. Zainab closed the door behind them. They were completely alone now. "Are you ready?" Chipo asked. "Yes," Zainab said. "I'm ready. I've thought about this every day for the last 2 weeks. I am ready to tell my truth." Chipo took out a small recording device. "This will record what you say. Is that okay?" Zainab nodded. "Yes, that is okay." For the next 30 minutes, Zainab told her story to Chipo. But this time she told it differently. She was very calm and very clear. She was like a lawyer presenting facts in court. She did not cry. She did not show anger. She just told the truth. She told Chipo about her 7 years of marriage to Kofi. She told her about how she had helped build his family's real estate business from nothing. She told her about the marketing strategy she had created that made the company 3 times more successful. She told her about the financial management and the contracts she had signed. "I was not just a wife," Zainab said. "I was a business partner. I used my education and my skills to help build their company. I made them millions of naira." She told Chipo about the day she came home and found the divorce papers. She told her about Mama Akojua's words. She told her about being told she was unsuitable. She told her about the threat to be humiliated publicly. "But I was not unsuitable," Zainab said. "I was too suitable. I was too independent. I was too successful." That frightened them. Chipo was writing notes and recording everything. Her eyes were focused and serious. "I have documents," Zainab said. She reached into her beautiful gold handbag and pulled out a thick folder. The folder was made of cream-colored cardboard with a gold clasp. Inside were copies of every document that proved her contributions. There were contracts with her signatures. There were emails where she was making business decisions. There were spreadsheets showing the company's growth. There were bank statements. There was everything. Zainab placed the folder on the table in front of Chipo. "This is my evidence," Zainab said. "This is my proof. This is my story told in facts and numbers and contracts. I want the world to know what I did. I want the world to know that I am not a woman who can be thrown away like garbage." Chipo opened the folder and looked through every page. She read carefully. She nodded slowly. "This is powerful," Chipo said. "This is very powerful. With this evidence and your testimony, this story will matter. People will listen." "When will you tell the story?" Zainab asked. Chipo looked at her watch. It was 8:45 in the evening. "In about an hour," Chipo said. "Your mother-in-law is going to make her big speech at 9:30. That is when everyone will be watching. That is when I will show this story on the screens. That is when the truth will come out, right in front of everyone." Zainab felt her heart beating faster. This was really happening. In 1 hour, everything would change. They walked back into the ballroom together. Chipo separated from Zainab and moved to the technical booth where the screens were controlled. She gave instructions to the technician. She showed him files on her laptop. The technician looked nervous but nodded. He understood what he had to do. Zainab walked back into the crowd. She held her head high. She accepted more congratulations from guests. She smiled and was kind to everyone. But inside she was waiting. She was counting down the minutes. Mama Akojua was still sitting on her throne looking like a queen. She had no idea what was about to happen. She had no idea that her moment of triumph would become her moment of truth. She had no idea that a woman she thought she had destroyed was about to rise up and tell the world who she really was. The band continued to play. The guests continued to talk and laugh. The evening continued to move forward. And Zainab waited for 9:30, when everything would change forever. At 9:25 in the evening, the band stopped playing. The talking in the ballroom became quieter. Everyone could feel that something important was about to happen. Mama Akojua stood up from her throne-like chair. She looked very pleased with herself. She looked like someone who was about to receive the praise and worship she believed she deserved. Kofi handed his mother a microphone. The microphone was connected to speakers that filled the entire ballroom. Mama Akojua held the microphone like it was a weapon of power. She tapped it gently and the sound echoed through the room. Everyone became completely silent. All eyes turned toward her. "My friends," Mama Akojua began, her voice loud and commanding. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate my birthday tonight. I am 60 years old today. I have lived a long life and I have built an empire." She paused, waiting for applause. The crowd clapped politely. "My family is one of the most important families in Lagos," she continued. My son, Kofi, has a very successful real estate business. We have built wealth and power. We have respect in this city. Tonight, we celebrate not just my birthday, but the strength and supremacy of our family name. More applause. Mama Akojua smiled, feeling very proud. She was enjoying every moment of this attention. I want to tell you, Mama Akojua said, that success comes from strong leadership. Success comes from knowing what you want and taking it. Success comes from not allowing weakness or foolishness to enter your family. I have always been the one who makes decisions in my family. I am the one who says what is right and what is wrong. And because of my strong leadership, we have everything we have today. She was getting more animated now. She was moving her free hand around as she spoke. She was like an actress on a stage, performing for an audience. In my family, she said loudly, I do not allow people who do not fit our standards to remain. I remove problems. I remove weakness. I remove people who do not understand their place. This is why we are successful. This is why we are powerful. Zainab felt her chest become tight as she listened to these words. Mama Akojua was talking about her. She was talking about removing her. But Zainab did not look away. She did not hide. She stood in the crowd, watching and listening. I believe in traditional values, Mama Akojua continued. A woman should know her place. A woman should listen to her husband and her mother-in-law. A woman should not try to be equal to men. A woman should stay in the home and take care of the family. This is the way things should be. This is the way things will be in my family. The crowd was very quiet now. Some people were uncomfortable. Some women were looking at each other with expressions that showed they did not agree. But no one said anything. Mama Akojua was too powerful. Mama Akojua was too important. Mama Akojua continued her speech for another 5 minutes. She talked about her accomplishments. She talked about her importance. She talked about how much she deserved respect. She talked about her family's greatness. But at exactly 9:30, something changed. The massive screens that hung on the walls of the ballroom suddenly went dark. The lights in the ballroom became a little dimmer. Everyone looked up at the screens, confused. The band had stopped playing. The room became very quiet. People began to whisper to each other. Then the screens came to life. An image appeared. It was a woman sitting in a television studio. It was journalist Chipo. She was wearing her tailored black suit. She looked serious and professional. She looked like someone who had something very important to say. Good evening, Chipo's voice came through the speakers in the ballroom. Her voice was loud and clear. It filled the entire room. My name is Chipo. I am a journalist. Tonight I'm going to tell you a story. This is a story about a woman. This is a story about hard work. This is a story about a woman's contributions being stolen and ignored. In the ballroom, people put down their drinks. People took out their phones. People started recording. Everyone was watching the screens now. Tonight, Chipo continued, while a family celebrates their success, I want to talk about who really made that success possible. I want to talk about a woman named Zainab. Mama Akojua's face went white. She dropped her microphone. It fell to the floor with a loud sound that made everyone jump. On the screens, documents appeared. Spreadsheets with numbers. Emails with Zainab's signature. Contracts showing her as a key person making business decisions. Financial statements showing how a company was making very little money, and then after 1 year, was making 3 times more money. This woman, Chipo said, created marketing strategies that helped a real estate company triple its value. This woman managed finances. This woman made business decisions that brought millions of naira into the family. This woman was a business partner, not just a wife. Chipo paused. The screens showed a picture of Zainab looking professional and beautiful. But instead of being recognized for her work, Chipo continued, this woman was told she was unsuitable. Instead of being treated as an equal partner, she was told she did not fit the family standards. Instead of being given credit for her contributions, she was handed divorce papers. There was silence in the ballroom. Complete silence. People were shocked. People were horrified. Then on the screens, Zainab's face appeared. She was sitting in the television studio being interviewed by Chipo. She looked calm and clear and strong. I was married for 7 years, Zainab said on the screen. I worked hard every single day to help build my husband's family business. I used my skills. I used my education. I used my intelligence. And I helped make them rich. Zainab on the screen held up documents. These are contracts I signed. These show that I was making important business decisions. These show my contributions. She held up more papers. These are spreadsheets. They show that before I started working with the family business, it was making very little money. After I started, it made 3 times more money. 3 times. That was my work. Zainab on the screen looked directly into the camera. She looked directly at the people watching her in the ballroom and on television across Lagos. But I was told I was unsuitable, she said. I was told that my independence was a problem. I was told that my career was an insult to the family. I was told that a proper wife does not work. I was told that a proper wife obeys without question. And when I did not agree with these ideas, I was given divorce papers as punishment. In the ballroom, women were gasping. Some had tears in their eyes. Men were looking at each other uncomfortably. Several people were taking pictures and videos with their phones. On the screens, Chipo was back. She was holding the folder that Zainab had given her. This evidence, Chipo said, proves that Zainab's contributions were real and measurable. This evidence proves that she was not just a decorative wife. This evidence proves that she was a business partner who helped create wealth for this family. The screens showed each document, one by one. Contracts, emails, spreadsheets, bank statements. Everything was there. Everything was clear. The question for all of us, Chipo said looking into the camera, is this. How many women in Nigeria are having their contributions stolen? How many women are being told they are unsuitable because they are too successful? How many women are being erased from the stories of the businesses they helped build? On the screens there was a montage of women in businesses. Women doctors, women lawyers, women business owners, women engineers, all working hard, all contributing to society. This is not just one woman's story, Chipo concluded. This is every woman's story. This is about recognizing the value of women. This is about treating women as equal partners, not as property to be controlled or thrown away. The broadcast ended. The screens went dark for a moment. Then they showed the main ballroom again live. Everyone in the ballroom was frozen, staring at the screens, not knowing what to do or say. Zainab stood in the middle of the crowd. She was standing very straight. She was standing very tall. She was looking directly at Mama Akojua. Mama Akojua's face was not pink anymore. It was dark red. She was shaking. Her hands were shaking. Her body was shaking. She looked like she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Kofi looked like he wanted to disappear. He looked down at his feet. He could not make eye contact with anyone. He could not face what everyone now knew. Then something amazing happened. A woman in the crowd started to clap. It was one of the rich businesswomen. She was clapping slowly at first. Then other women joined her. Then more women. More and more women began to clap. They were clapping for Zainab. They were clapping for a woman who refused to be erased. They were clapping for a woman who told the truth. Several men also started to clap. Business owners who respected hard work and intelligence. Lawyers who understood rights and fairness. Men who understood that women deserved recognition and respect. The clapping grew louder and louder. It filled the entire ballroom. It was like thunder. It was like the sound of justice. Mama Akojua stood frozen, watching as the crowd applauded Zainab. She stood frozen, watching as her moment of triumph became her moment of humiliation. She stood frozen, realizing that her power had been an illusion all along. And Zainab, standing in the middle of the ballroom in her beautiful indigo and gold outfit, looked directly into the eyes of Mama Akojua. She did not smile. She did not look angry. She just looked like a woman who had told the truth and knew that nothing could ever be the same again. The days after the birthday party were like watching a storm move across Lagos. News of what happened spread through the city like fire through dry grass. People talked about it everywhere. In offices, in shops, in markets, in restaurants, people were talking about Zainab and what she had done. News channels replayed the broadcast again and again. Newspapers wrote stories about her. Social media was filled with people sharing her story and talking about how brave she was. But the family business was suffering. Clients started to cancel their contracts with Kofi's real estate company. Some clients sent letters saying they could not do business with a company that treated women so badly. Some clients said they did not want to support a family that was so disrespectful. Within 1 week, the company lost 3 major clients. They lost millions of naira in business. Politicians and important business leaders who had been friends with Mama Akojua began to distance themselves from her. They stopped returning her calls. They stopped inviting her to events. They did not want to be connected to someone who had been so publicly exposed for treating a woman with such cruelty. Kofi's father, who had been quiet during all of this, finally spoke to his son. He told Kofi that what his mother had done was wrong. He told Kofi that he should have stood up to his mother. He told Kofi that a real man does not let his mother destroy his wife. 2 weeks after the broadcast, Barrister Adeniyi sent a formal letter to Kofi's lawyers. The letter stated that Zainab was claiming her legal rights as a wife. The letter stated that Zainab wanted recognition of her contributions to the family business. The letter stated that Zainab wanted a fair settlement. Kofi's family had two choices. They could fight this in court, which would be expensive and would take years and would keep the story in the news. Or they could negotiate and settle the matter quietly. They chose to negotiate. The negotiations took place in a conference room in a downtown Lagos office building. Barrister Adeniyi sat on one side of the long table. Zainab sat next to her. On the other side of the table sat Kofi's family lawyers and, surprisingly, Kofi's father. Mama Akojua did not come. She was too ashamed to face Zainab. Kofi did not come either. He could not face what he had done. The lawyers for Kofi's family presented their offer. It was insulting. They offered Zainab a small amount of money and nothing else. They said she had no right to anything because marriage was not a business contract. Barrister Adeniyi laughed. She opened a folder and showed all of Zainab's documents again. She showed the contracts. She showed the emails. She showed the spreadsheets. She explained Nigerian law carefully. She explained that Zainab had contributed to building the company. She explained that under the law Zainab had rights. My client, Barrister Adeniyi said, is being generous by offering to settle. If we go to court she will get much more. The judge will look at this evidence and will award her a significant portion of the company and its profits. So I suggest you make a much better offer. 3 days later the lawyers came back with a new offer. This time it was better. They offered Zainab a large amount of money and 5% ownership of the company. Barrister Adeniyi said no. She wants 15%, the lawyer said. She also wants a formal written statement from the company acknowledging her contributions to building the business. She wants this statement to be public. She wants this statement to be shown to all clients and all business partners. The family lawyers looked shocked. They said that was impossible. They said no family business would ever agree to such a thing. Then we will see you in court, Barrister Adeniyi said. She began to pack her documents. The lawyers asked for another meeting. This time Kofi's father spoke. He was an older man, maybe in his 70s, with gray hair and a tired face. He had built this business before Kofi was even born. He understood what was right and what was wrong. I will speak to my family, Kofi's father said. I will convince them to accept these terms. 1 week later the settlement was agreed upon. Zainab received a check for a very large amount of money. She received 15% ownership of the real estate company. And the company released a formal written statement that said Zainab had made significant contributions to the building of the business through her marketing strategies and financial management. When Zainab held that settlement agreement in her hands, she cried. But these were not tears of sadness. These were tears of relief. These were tears of victory. 3 months after the settlement, Zainab launched her own company. She called it Zainab Strategies Limited. She rented office space in a modern building in Lagos. She hired smart people to work with her. She hired mostly women because she wanted to help other women build careers and businesses. Zainab Strategies Ltd became very successful very quickly. Companies wanted to work with Zainab because she had a reputation for being smart and creative and honest. Clients came to her because they had heard her story and they respected her. They wanted to give their business to a woman who had fought for her rights. Within 2 years, Zainab Strategies Ltd was one of the most successful marketing companies in Lagos. Within 3 years, it was one of the most successful in West Africa. Zainab was making more money than she ever made before. She was building something that was completely her own. She was building something that no one could ever take away from her. But Zainab did not just think about money. She thought about other women. She created a scholarship program for young girls who wanted to study business and law. She mentored young women who were starting their own businesses. She gave speeches about women's rights. She spoke to women in universities about not accepting less than they deserved. Years passed. 3 years after the settlement, Zainab was sitting in her office when her secretary brought her a letter. The letter was written by hand. The envelope was made of expensive paper. Zainab's name was written on the envelope in careful handwriting. She opened the letter slowly. Inside were several pages written in the same careful handwriting. The letter was from Mama Akojua. Zainab's heart began to beat faster as she read the first words. My dear Zainab, the letter began. I am writing to you to tell you that I have been wrong. I have been very wrong. Zainab read the entire letter carefully. In the letter, Mama Akojua wrote about how she had been thinking about what happened. She wrote about how she had realized that she had been afraid of Zainab's strength and independence. She wrote about how she had tried to destroy something that was actually beautiful and valuable. "I was wrong," Mama Akojua wrote. "I see now that you were not a threat to my family. You were an asset to my family. I destroyed something precious because I did not understand it. I'm sorry. I am deeply sorry. If you can forgive me, I would like to know the woman I refused to see. I would like to understand what I missed." Zainab read the letter 3 times. She cried as she read it. She did not respond immediately. Forgiveness is not something that happens quickly. But months later, through a mutual friend, Zainab sent a message to Mama Akojua. "Forgiveness," the message said, "is a journey, not a destination. I am walking it." A year after the letter, Zainab and Mama Akojua had coffee together. It was not easy. It was not comfortable at first. But they talked. And slowly they began to understand each other. Meanwhile, Kofi also changed. Without his mother controlling him, he began to find his own way. He met a woman named Simone. Simone was a lawyer. She was strong and independent. She did not listen to anyone telling her what she should do. Simone was everything that Mama Akojua had said a wife should not be. When Kofi told his mother he wanted to marry Simone, Mama Akojua objected. She said Simone was unsuitable. She said Simone was too independent. She said Simone did not know her place. But this time, Kofi did not obey his mother. This time, Kofi said no. He said he was going to marry Simone because he loved her and because she made him happy. He said he was tired of letting his mother control his life. And Kofi married Simone. Zainab heard about this and smiled. She was happy that Kofi had finally grown up. She was happy that he had finally found the courage to make his own choices. Years passed. Zainab's company continued to grow. She became known not just in Lagos, but across Africa as a businesswoman and as an advocate for women's rights. She was interviewed on international television. She was invited to speak at conferences. She was respected and admired. But most importantly, Zainab had her life back. She had her freedom. She had her dignity. She had built something that was completely her own, something that could never be taken from her. She had not destroyed Mama Akojua or Kofi. She had not tried to hurt them or punish them. She had simply told the truth. She had simply refused to be erased. She had simply stood up and said, "This is who I am. This is what I did. This is my value." And in doing that, she had changed everything. Not just for herself, but for every woman who heard her story and realized that they too could fight for their rights. They too could refuse to be treated as less than they were worth. Zainab's revenge was never about destruction. Her revenge was about elevation. She elevated herself. She elevated other women. She elevated the conversation about what women deserve. She was no longer the woman with the divorce papers. She was the woman who had fought back with truth. She was the woman who had won. She was the woman who had built something greater than anything that had been taken from her. And that, Zainab realized, was the greatest revenge of all.